Well, they simply call it the 20th Congressional District, so it's just a little bit of alphabet soup and a little bit of numerics. So thank you all for the invitation to join with our wonderful mayor, Kathy Sheehan, who I asked if she prayed for this snow in her first initial weeks. Talk about an inaugural of another kind. This is baptism by fire, I guess we would call that. So, but she's doing a great job of clearing those streets and getting structured in a way that I think is going to provide a great order of leadership. So allow me to congratulate our new mayor here in front of our many friends who are at their own inaugural. So certainly I want to thank everyone for the invitation, to Reverend Nadim and to Sadaf. Thank you for having the vision, for dreaming the dream and planting the seed. Thank you, Reverend Kathy, and all of the Board of Directors. Sal, thank you for the Presbytery and all that it does for empowerment of people through the faith community. But to all of you, thank you for this inaugural, which really provides for, I think, a great bit of foundation for what is an ongoing cycle within our democracy, and that is immigration that constantly happens. On the outset, I believe the most appropriate way to say hello here this afternoon is to say, welcome fellow immigrants. Because while I too am third generation, we are a compilation, if you will, of journeys for the great many of us. And no matter if it was a forced journey or one that we chose, whether it was one with great stress or great comfort, nonetheless, it was a journey. And we find ourselves in this land of opportunity and in pursuit of an American dream. So tethering that dream is this great opportunity that is beheld by the immigrants, who then will do what they can to make certain that the experience is one that strengthens their fabric as an individual and family and allows children and grandchildren to climb those ladders of opportunity. So we're in this boat together, following the individual journeys that we all made. And so this afternoon, I thought it was appropriate that we say thank you, first and foremost, to all of you for helping with the assimilation process. I, for one, can claim my roots to Eastern Europe, Poland, Russia, Ukraine, that given region. And in fact, my grandfather, as an immigrant, fought in the First World War before he was even naturalized. So I think some of those opportunities were something that they cherished so much, they were ready to defend a newfound nation that became their second home, their new home. But I have to believe that that assimilation process has always been a struggle. Generations upon generations upon generations. And, you know, the fact that you're assisting in the legal efforts that are required oftentimes, helping people comb through the language barriers, meeting the essentials of life, the food, clothing, shelter, and certainly having the empowerment that comes with medical care, the appropriate health care. All of these are great values that you bring to the table for the immigrant. When I was working on a holiday card one year, I like to produce my own card. It's not a Hallmark card, but it'll do. I came across a number of treasured pictures from factory workers, in my hometown, which is less than 30 miles to the west, Amsterdam, New York, which was one time dubbed the Carpet City. So many people would come here in pursuit of their first steps of the journey in tethering the American dream and worked in the factories. And when I combed through these pictures, it was amazing to see these immigrants clustered by table. And immediately your imagination kicks in and assumes, and I think rightfully, that people clustered by language. And they worked their fingers to the bones, and again, they were going to climb that ladder. And they had this work opportunity, but they still needed to bond because of the barriers of language. That's just one example of a need for a comfort zone. And they found that with each other at the lunch table. And it continues today. And so you're helping with a great empowerment here. I wanted to just encapsulate for you some of the activity that's going on in Washington, or not going on in Washington, perhaps better said, that really is troublesome. And it fits the spirit of today, where we're talking about the joy of immigrants, the value added of immigrants, you know, the mosaic that develops, whether you're Muslim or Hindu or Jewish or Christian or non-affiliated is not the issue. We are a quilt that makes room for everyone. And that quilt work is more powerful when it has additional quilt patterns added to it. The various blocks of the quilt tell a story. And so those stories are our gift, our heritage. It defines us, nurtures us, sustains us. And like any gift, it has its greatest value when it's exchanged. And so what I hope happens through SARC is not only the assimilation process being helped and eased, but also the encouragement to share your stories, your heritage, so that that gift of heritage is all the more powerful and can enable us to really create the uniqueness of this nation. But within the halls of Washington, and certainly based on the polls that we hear, 70 to 76% of Americans in any poll that you cite favor immigration reform. We have long lines, we have situations where people are burdened as immigrants by a failed bit of policy and lack of resources through the budget for the Naturalization Office. Now, I support a comprehensive reform strategy that allows some 12 million Americans to engage in a rightful path to citizenship, that enables them to not be burdened by the inequities and the difficulties of today and yesterday. That opportunity for 12 million undocumented workers or undocumented immigrants is an important step toward progress. And you know, when we travel and hear from various forces, they will tell us no matter if it's the Farm Bureau, because the immigrants are a very important resource to the farming community, whether it's technical types, engineers, or what have you, that fill our void, or if it's medical types that are required, and especially our expansion of medical coverage to all Americans. We need the immigrants, and so we rely on them heavily. The interesting thing is that the bipartisan bill that was developed by the Senate that will not be dealt with in the House for whatever reason leadership has borne down with would save about $875 billion in our deficit. It would shave the deficit by that much. And this is the way to really provide for deficit reform, to deficit resolve, to go through creating work opportunities rather than cutting our way to that deficit reduction. So I want to pledge to you here this afternoon in the midst of this wonderful inaugural that I will work however I can with intellect and energy to provide for the immigration reform that is absolutely essential for all of us. And with that being said, the House immigration bill, H.R. 15, is one that I support. It is bipartisan in nature. It now has 197 co-sponsors and would allow for us to continue forward with what I think is the winning formula for this nation. The inclusion of additional folks who are immigrants who will take that journey and add to our wonderfully rich history and enable us to share in powerful measure our heritage, our stories, our richness that further defines the uniqueness of this great nation and allows us to go forward. So to SARC, I thank you for the invitation. I thank you for connecting with our office, Colleen Williams. I'm certain would have been here today or maybe still be coming. She had some additional duties to do today. But she has enjoyed immensely as our constituent person working with you as an organization and with you as individuals. And again, for having the vision and the compassion and the passion for those who call America their newfound resting spot. Thank you for building hope in their hearts, and thank you for enabling us to further stretch the wonderful quilt work that is American unique. Thank you so much.